So when I was working on Wife, I was aware, actually, after the play had been programmed at the Kiln Theatre in London, I became aware of a play on Broadway called A Doll's House Part 2. And then when we were casting the play, an adaptation of A Doll's House called Nora, which sets the three acts of Ibsen's play in different time periods by a wonderful writer called Steph Smith, was announced in Glasgow. The English director Robert Icke is doing a production called Children of Nora in Amsterdam next year. My play Wife responds to A Doll's House. So there seemed to be something in the air, but the most extraordinary thing about this is that actually none of this is new. And I was very aware that this is part of a kind of long tradition. One of the things about Ibsen's play is, of course, that he doesn't tell us what happens to Nora. So she slams the door on her husband, and he himself said that it is at this point that Nora's life begins. So Nora's life begins when the play ends, which means that as audiences we go out asking all kinds of questions about whether she will achieve what she's seeking, whether she will have an understanding of society, whether she will ever see her children again, whether she will be happy. And indeed, there's another question or series of questions that we ask ourselves, which are to do with Torvald, because the husband figure is also left behind, and he chews on this phrase of hers, the most wonderful thing, is a marriage, a true marriage, between two equal partners, is that possible? And he as he chews on that phrase, he frames it as an interrogative, as a question. And Ibsen's stage direction is that he delivers the line with hope. So there's this sense that both sides, both the female side and the male side of the argument, that we are left with unanswered questions. And then I think the tradition of responding to that, of actually extrapolating upon that and creating new works from it, I think in a funny kind of way it begins with Ibsen, because infamously he was asked to rewrite the German ending of A Doll's House. And he did that apparently at the behest of the German actress who wanted Nora to stay. And then I think there is also an argument that other plays in his body of work are variations on A Doll's House. So there's a sort of argument perhaps that the next play, Ghosts, is Nora if she decided to stay home, that the Mrs. Alvin character who stays in her marriage, that is a version of A Doll's House with the woman not leaving. And then of course there's The Lady from the Sea, in which the husband and wife stay together, but only after the woman discovers or forces a situation in which she has free will and she can absolutely make the decision to stay. But the tradition of Nora staying at home is a kind of unfortunate tradition that actually continued in England. So the premiere version of the play in England was a play called Breaking a Butterfly, in which Nora stayed at home. And that caused a kind of culture war in which all kinds of people wrote different sorts of journalistic responses that both defended Ibsen and that took a very kind of reactionary line on the play. And ever since then there have been all kinds of responses. You know, there have been novels, there have been films, there's even been a Broadway musical. So I was very aware of this tradition, and my play itself tackles it, because Daisy in 1959, her husband, is very angry when he sees the play, and he meets the actress playing Nora at the end of the production, and he questions her and he says, where is Act 4? Where is the act where she comes back? And in a way, deliberately, in the construction of my play, I give Robert that Act 4. My play is 4 acts, but of course there are no easy answers. All of the questions that the play throws up about whether it's possible for equality in a marriage, and indeed whether it's possible to be an individual if you are negotiating a relationship, all of those questions remain relevant and timeless and insistent in my 4th act. And this is why I think we will always have this kind of response to this extraordinary play.